YouTube? I decided to come out and shoot a video of the Supra. Hopefully she starts. Had a really cold snap in the last little while and it's kind of like warm. It's like -14. And with all the posts circling Facebook of people's cars getting jacked, I had a bad dream of my car getting stolen. So I just had to come make sure that she was still here. And I'm gonna try and crank her over and tell you guys a little bit about my Supra story. So I hope you enjoy. See if the Toyota charm still prevails. No, she's dead. Well, I'm gonna try and boost it. The Evo. And move it around to boost the Supra. Hopefully this one's not dead. Trusty Evo never skips a beat. I'd be without this car. This car saved our ass so many times. Lots of people say they have troubles with their Evo 6, but ours has never skipped a beat. And some of them are junk, but yeah, like I said, saved our ass a lot of times. Been with us for what, 3 years now, and never any issues whatsoever. So grateful for that. Started. I'm gonna tell you guys a story about my Supras and I guess where it all began. I grew up playing Gran Turismo, as many of us did, and I actually took a liking to the Skylines. And I still love R34 GTRs. We had a 91 R32 GTR. We still love that car. But as a kid, YouTube started becoming more and more known, and I would always YouTube Skylines, Skyline VS, Skyline Versus, and as a kid, I must have been 12, 13, I would always wonder what that car was, and this is no lie, that kept beating the Skyline. And maybe I seen the right videos, I don't know, to all my Skyline buddies. I still love Skylines, don't get me wrong, but I am a Supra guy, and ever since that point in time, I've just fell in love with the Supra. How it can handle, 1,000 horsepower stock internals, how the transmission and the rear end still virtually no limits, the transmission especially, rear end a little more so, but the axles, everything about this car is so overbuilt. And to my knowledge, there's a lot more of these Supras putting down close to 1,000 rear wheel horsepower on stock everything than any other car I know. I know it's doable, don't get me wrong, but you just see it more often with Supras. So I fell in love with them. I had the chance when I was 16 to sell my Eclipse GSX to a buddy of mine. The head gasket went in my GSX, and he's like, I'll give you, I can't remember what it was, $5,500 cash now, and I think I had 5 grand saved. So and keep in mind, I was only 16 at the time, and I paid for the Eclipse myself. Every paycheck went to that car, and I hummed and hawed about it for like an hour because we were in the process of moving to Kelowna. And I went on a web page, a guy I still talk to today, 10 years, well, not 10 years later, I guess like 8 years later. And I seen my first Supra that I ended up putting a deposit on and purchasing. And it was a 93 anthracite twin turbo with 18,000 original kilometers on it. And that deposit, when I put it down, it was just like unreal, like I was a kid, 17 I think at that time. 17 or 18, putting a deposit on my dream car. It was just so surreal to me because right-hand drives were legal, and at this time the Supra I bought was the first Supra legal, so I was pretty excited about that. Anyway, fast forward, got the car, loved it, kept it for 2-3 years, did BPU mods to it. It dynoed at 362 rear wheel horsepower, I believe. I still have the dyno sheet with very, very basic mods, and I didn't want to push the limits on the turbos, even though they ended up going at 362 rear wheel, and I ended up replacing them with the a hybrid steel wheel turbo. But I ended up getting rid of that car. I've had 5 Supras, I believe, 4 right-hand drive and my left-hand drive now. I've had my left-hand drive for close to 4 years, and I just kept trading up while I was in college and university, and it ended up each car paid for the next and then some. I traded my anthracite for a brand new Ford Focus with like $6 grand on top or something like that, which ended up paying for 2 full years of college. I didn't know what I was going to college for at the time, but it still paid for it. I enrolled for business and it paid for it all, I remember that. And I got a brand new Focus, which was like, at the time, I think it was like 19 grand or something like that. So essentially I sold that Supra for way more than it was worth. And I drove the Focus for a bit, and I decided this is totally not who I am, and I need another cool car. At the time I had a Nissan Xterra for a daily, so I didn't really need 2 daily cars. Went on Kijiji, didn't really think anything would happen, but some people would say I get lucky with deals. I found a red 6-speed in Cold Lake, and I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna ask this guy if he's willing to trade. So I did, and he was all for it. It was an older rich guy who had a GTR as well, and he said that his son needs a vehicle to drive back and forth from like North Dakota for school, and that he's all over the trade. And I even asked him for 2 grand on top, I think, and then I felt bad. So I said, you know, $1,000 on top if you deliver the car. And he ended up, his wife and kid ended up delivering the car, and it was my neighbor's just pulling up doing something weird, but he ended up getting the car, and it was he loved the Focus. I loved the Supra, of course. The Supra needed work, but I was no better man to do it than me. Put it in the garage, checked it out, and yeah, from there I seen this one on Kijiji. I owned the red one for a couple years. I love that car to death. I seen it on Kijiji, the left-hand drive, and I'm like, I have to sell my right-hand drive, because my all-time favorite car is a left-hand drive Supra, and I didn't care what it was. I preferred it to be manual, and that was all my stipulation. So I found this one for a really good deal. I told the guy, take it off Kijiji right now, I'm buying it, and sold my right-hand drive 6-speed for $15,500 at the time, and I think that was more fair than now, obviously, because they're like 30 grand. And ended up with the car I have now. I've had this for 4 years. That being said, when I've owned this car, we've also had a silver NA that we bought for the fiance. I really loved that car, and we had big plans for it. Oh, I've owned 6 Supras. There's one I forgot. I'll tell you about it after. Ended up not having heat, so we got rid of it for an 11-second SRT4, which we got rid of anyway. Then I owned a black twin turbo automatic that I fixed up. There's a lot of stuff I did to that car to make it where it is today, and a buddy of mine, TJ in Calgary, owns it now, and it's so nice. Did a really good job with it, and he's doing 6-speed swap in it now. And we also had a right-hand drive twin turbo automatic Targa top, and we tried to find the production numbers on these cars. I didn't even know what it was called for the longest time. I think it's the Supra GZ Aero top. They made 100 of them, from what I can gather. 30 of them were twin turbo, 70 of them were NA automatic. So we had a gem in our garage, and I built that motor myself, and it was a very successful motor build. Dumped $10,000 into the engine, and it was a beautiful car. Basically, life happened, and we unfortunately had to sell that car. I'm looking right now to purchase my original anthracite back from the guy that has it in Vancouver. I'm pretty sure that'll work out, so I'm most likely will have 2 Supras in the summer. I'll have my left-hand drive and I'll have my original right-hand drive twin turbo. That'll be my fiance's car, and she'll have the RS, and I'll have my car that's coming from Japan that I'll be doing a video on as well. So that's like the gist of my Supras. Each car has paid for itself and then some. Like I said, I got really lucky. Yeah, that's all I can say. Paid for a little bit of school, and they've done me well. But I'm keeping the Supra I have now. I have an engine built for it, ready to drop in. I've got a lot of parts on the way. I just ordered OEM Targa seals for it, which thank goodness aren't that bad right now with the Supra prices skyrocketing. I think it was like 500 bucks Canadian shipped to my door. And I have a small leak in the Targa right now. That's pretty much the only thing wrong with the car, that and the small oil head gasket leak at the back of the engine, just when I turn it off. So yeah, gotta buy a harness, turbo, and a turbo manifold, and then the Supra's going back together, and a gasket kit, and then oh yeah, and an ECU, and then my good friend Ali will tune it, and I'm hoping for about 600 to 700 wheel on that car. We plan to have it done before the wedding, cross fingers. If not, we'll take one of our other cars, I guess, and then do like a photo shoot or something after. But car's warmed up now, so I'm gonna go check it out and make sure everything's all good, check the fluids. And that being said, I hope you guys liked the video. Please like and subscribe. Thanks, bye for now. Before I ended the video, I just wanted to include this clip. I just wanted to touch on the fact that, just in reference to the anthracite Supra, is that I bought it when it was really cheap. It was pretty much from a friend too, and who owned the importing business. But, you know, I put a lot of money into that car, and what I sold it for was the only thing I was willing to take for it anyway. I mean, it was an anthracite twin turbo car that was extremely healthy, and it only had like 39,000 kilometers, I think, when I got rid of it. I'm still friends with everybody today who have bought the Supras off me in the past. My Supras have made it all over Western Canada, and like I said, I look forward to purchasing my anthracite one back, because I was the first owner in Canada. I think it has 100,000 kilometers on it now or something crazy, so it's been driven. Horror stories, I've heard horror stories from the guy who owns it now. I guess some of the owners didn't take care of it or something. That's just all hearsay. I have no idea if that's true. But yeah, that being said, I just wanted to say that I sold the anthracite for the only thing I was willing to sell it for. I bought it when it was cheap. There's no way you could buy a twin turbo Supra for that now. Yeah, it was super rare car, super rare color. I still think it's the only twin turbo anthracite that ever made it to Canada, right-hand drive anyway. So yeah, just wanted to include this in the video, and again, hope you enjoyed.